Alright, how's it going everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another Undisputed video. It's been a while since I've actually sat down to play this. So I've recently just got done watching the latest developer roundtable. Went on for like a good hour where they addressed certain things and let us know about things that were upcoming. And just something that got brought up in the discussion was they were talking about people still complaining about the lack of sort of weight to punches and things that were in the alpha build that people have noticed, because that's been gaining steam lately. A lot of like people complaining about the things that were in the previous build that have sort of been removed or don't look like they're in the game at this point. And people were saying things like, you know, obviously the weight of the punches, like they've still got no weight to them and blah blah blah, and which is true. I actually agree. And things like muscle flex, like people were saying, like you could see people's muscles flex, like when they're throwing shots. And anyway, what I'm getting at is, Boxing Fanatico said that, well, all three of them said it's because a lot of yous are not playing with the camera zoomed in all the way. That's why you're missing out on a lot of these details. And so I thought to do an experiment here. So I'm going to obviously look out for this, and you lot watching this can judge for yourselves whether you agree with what they said or not. So as you can see, I play with the zoomed out camera, and by default the Cold World Gym camera is automatically set to the ringside dolly. So I'm going to start playing with this camera zoomed in a little bit more to see if there's any noticeable difference in the weight of the punch. I mean, you shouldn't have to move the camera in or out to sell the weight of your punches in a game. Do you know what I mean? It's like the punches just should have the same weight when they're connecting, regardless of where the camera is positioned. I don't think that's like if I have to change the camera to get the benefit of a weighted punch, then you're doing something wrong, I feel like, with the design of your game. My graphics card's not the best. I've got a GTX 1080 in this laptop, so it's like, you know, it's a bit underpowered as opposed to a lot of people uploading stuff for this game. People have got way higher. So I've got the textures at as highest I can push it. So whether we'll see the full benefit of the actual texture, if there is any muscle rip. I mean, to be honest, I don't give a shit about seeing muscles rip. I care more about like punch mechanics and stuff like that, and you know, rippling muscles as shots are being thrown as like an aesthetic. That's secondary to me. That's kind of like the referee being in the ring. It's like, if it didn't make it into the final product, like I wouldn't really care if the referee showed up or not, just as long as the solid mechanics of the boxing experience are set in place. That's all I care about, to be honest with you. You know, there's things I can turn a blind eye to, like I say, like referees being in the ring, or you know, sweat drips or fucking whatever, you know. But anyway, we'll take I'm waffling before I get it, but I just wanted to know why this is like an experiment video, just to see if, like, oh yeah, having the camera zoomed in does make a bit of difference. But like, I stand by what I say. It's like, you should be able to have the camera at any distance and still enjoy the experience of the game. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what if you don't want to play zoomed in all the way? You know, I play a lot of other combat sports games like Fight Night Champion, any of the Fight Night games for that matter, any of the UFC games, and the camera is not like zoomed in all the way to the point where it's like up the fucking fighters' asses. You know, it's like set back to a decent where everything's accommodated on the screen, and I feel the weight of those punches perfectly fine. So like, I don't know why it seems to be like an issue with this game, when it's like, oh, you gotta have the camera like right up in their face to see the inside fighting in effect, and it's because you've got it zoomed all the way out, and that's why it looks shit. Like, I don't think that's a good excuse. It's bumped the rounds up to 15. Undisputed difficulty. So what else did they talk about? They mentioned things, obviously the cuts as well, because obviously people have been complaining about me included. I put up a video about that, where we'd seen like really like horrific looking cuts in the earlier build of the game. That was like really realistic looking and like very brutal to the experience of boxing. And Ashabib went on to say, like, they already came up with problems in the earlier builds with like the regulatory bodies who they've got assigned to the game, that they're promoting like a more violent aspect of the sport, and I just thought, well, it's boxing, you know what I mean? Like, people get cut, people get viciously knocked out, you know, like, and we see them like convulsing on the floor and like in a humiliated state in front of like thousands of people in attendance and people watching at home. Like, boxing's a brutal sport by nature. It's primitive, and to remove that from the game, like, you're taking out like a very real aspect, and people need to be aware of the consequences of being in this sport. You know, it's all right us watching it from a fan point of view. Oh, go on, knock him out. But there are consequences to this sport. You know, people end up with like serious fucking brain damage, you know, and there's been deaths in combat sports, so this is no joke. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that level of realism should be in the game. Oh, you can fucking kill people and give people fucking CTE. No, it's like, but just shying away from cuts. And anyway, Ash did admit that they feel like they've censored things a little bit too much in terms of like making the cuts a little bit like less violent looking and stuff, and they're going to try and like dial that back a little. They sort of went too extreme with it. So at least they admitted that, like, you know, but so it sounds like they could turn it up a little bit more on the sort of on how graphic the blood and cuts are. I hope he's, you know, God, I'm experiencing a lot of fucking lag here. Like,
introducing from Nottingham, England,
what's going on with this lag in fucking single player, you know? My God, look at that. Look how jerky that is. Yeah, so they're going to be addressing things like that in future updates. Things that they said they're going to put back in that was removed from the previous build. So things like certain punches or movements that certain fighters had. So like Joe Frazier's sort of lunging, like gazelle left hook, if you like, people call it. They said they couldn't get that working like fully, like 10 out of 10 every time. Like sometimes it'd look a bit goofy. I mean, a lot of the punches in this game look goofy, to be honest with you. So why is left hook, is lunge and left hook as an exception? Like, there's a lot of shit that looks goofy in this game. Another one was Usyk sort of, I think it was like a step off, like a step to the left or to the right, like it was like a unique animation to him that they didn't quite like the look of, that they're going to try and put back in. One thing that they are going to put in, I think they said it might be coming in the next update, is the ability to slip while taking a step forward, which a lot of people have been asking for. Like, that's, you know, I want to see something like that as well. Stepping forward while moving your head left or right, and also pivoting out to the left and right, I would like to see. But at least they're going to introduce a new mechanic next time of, like I say, stepping in with head movement to the left and right. A lot of people are worried already that it's going to get abused, but we're going to have to at least get something in the game first before we can make an assessment on whether it's bad or good, and then it's obviously going to have to be tweaked. You know, they're not going to get it right the first time. You know, and so there's bound to be complaints about it. You know, there's already things in the game now that people are complaining about, like the back step right straight and things like that, and so, you know, you've got to expect that there's going to be complaints with a new piece of head movement mechanic that's going to come in, but at least it's coming in, you know what I mean? So, and it can be built off. If it is not good to begin with, it can be improved down the line, but at least we've got what we've asked for, you know, in terms of a new head movement mechanic, so that's a start. You know, it's not going to be they're not going to nail it in the first sort of rendition of it. But I'm not seeing any difference in that, with the camera being a bit zoomed in. I'm not seeing like a difference on the impact of the punches, to be honest with you. If anything, I'm noticing the camera shake is a little bit more extreme when it's zoomed in, but that's not heavier punches to me. That's just the camera shake just reacts a little bit more. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. They talked about a vulnerability system, and they pretty much acknowledged that there isn't one in the game, which, if you've played the game enough, you already knew that. So we're only, like, all the community knew that there wasn't one. And now the devs have pretty much come out and said, well, there isn't one, and they're looking at sort of implementing one with the systems that they've got put in place. And what they meant was, they're just going to add, and I think they actually said it towards the end, they're just going to add sliders, you know what I mean, so they're not actually going to put a vulnerability system in per se. They're just going to put a bunch of sliders in that you can tweak at your leisure. to sort of simulate a vulnerability system. Now, I don't know how that transitions to like online play, you know what I mean? Because everyone's going to have sliders set differently to how they like them. So it's not really a vulnerability system, is it? I don't think. You know, and they're talking like it's a very hard thing to do. You know, I'll be the fair. I'm no game developer. Also, but the only thing I'll say is, there's been other combat sports games that have been in the past that have implemented the vulnerability system really well. So, like, you know, Fight Night Champion's got a decent one. You know, if you're playing Fight Night Champion and you just throw a load of punches and you blow out all your stamina, and then I hit you with a counter body shot, there's a good chance you're going to get a rock or a flash knockdown because you put yourself in a vulnerable state of having no stamina. You know what I mean? And then you get it with a counter. UFC 4 is another game that has a decent vulnerability system. So, like, if you were coming at me with a combo and I pull back and I crack you with a counter uppercut, there's a good chance you're going to get put in a rock state from that because, like, you've put yourself in a compromising situation by coming at me with a combo. I've avoided it. Not only have I made you expend stamina with that combination, but I've countered you after it. So there's a good chance you're either going to get dropped or you're going to get knocked out. So there's two games, just as an example. Even the earlier Fight Night games have a decent vulnerability system in places. So I don't know why they're saying it's so difficult to implement it into this system. It's not like it's like a revolutionary new game mechanic that they're struggling. Like, we've had vulnerability systems in previous combat sports titles. So, you know, why is it so different to implement in this game? Like, there's the vulnerability systems in this, like, there's so much that needs doing in this game in terms of vulnerability, especially to the body. I think, like, you know, it's you can have your stamina on base stamina in this game and take a shitload of body shots, and you're not really punished for it, which is a travesty. Because I don't just like to headhunt. I love body shot stoppages. I really like them. Sometimes more than, you know, knockouts or stoppages to the head. But just attacking the body in this game doesn't really have much of a payoff, apart from it just makes their stamina decrease a little bit quicker than going to the head. You know, I want to be able to drop people when they're coming in aggressive and expending their stamina, and then landing like a well-timed shot to the liver, or like combination to the body or whatever, and then they pay for it because they're gassing. You know, like, to me, when I play combat sports games and when I actually watch fights in real life, whether it be boxing, MMA, K1, kickboxing when it was around, like, when I see somebody fatiguing, I'm screaming at the telly, oh, for the opponent who's made them fatigue. I'm like, go to the body, like a couple of body shots and this fight's over. Or, obviously, when you're tired as well, you know, your mouth is wide open, your jaw is way more susceptible to be hit with a knockout shot, because that mouth is wide open. You're not like sort of bit down on your gum shield. But primarily I'm thinking, go to the body, like one fucking hard right straight to the solar plexus or a liver shot, you know, and that person's going down, you know. And it doesn't even need to be like a complete drain of somebody's stamina to drop somebody with a body shot. You can get flash body shots as well. Look what happened with thingy recently, Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. You know, Davis landed like a nice left hook to the liver in an exchange, and Garcia just felt it. Like, the liver is like it's like a button. Sometimes it's like when you hit it, it's like you can't. You might have a full gas tank and get it with a liver shot, and you can still go down. It's just one of those areas of the body that is like a critical zone. So it's like the chin. You know, you hit it in the right way, and you get a result off it. But yeah, this it's no secret this game would benefit massively from a vulnerability. That risk versus reward needs to be there, and I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to, like, accommodate both communities of, like, casual community and sort of hardcore combat sports like community. But, you know, I think by doing that, they're kind of like stuck in this sort of middle ground limbo. It's like, yeah, you want like new players to be able to come and pick up the game, but you want like the more like hardcore combat sports fans to sort of get what they want out of it as well. And it's like, you know, casual players might not stick with this game as long than combat sports people, fans would. You know, a casual player might pick it up, have a couple of rounds, have some fun, just throwing whatever, and you know, just throwing a shitload of punches with their mates, and then they might put the game down and not play it for ages. But combat sports fans will just like, this will be their game of choice to play, and they'll play it all the time, you know. So it's like it's never really worked out for other games, like not even just combat sports games, like shoot 'em ups and things like that, you know, like when they try and appeal to like both audiences, like, oh, we want it to appeal to a casual fan, we want someone to be able to like pick it up and play it, and we want the hardcores to be satisfied as well, but you can never satisfy both audiences, I feel, you know. You better just like engineering it towards one audience, and it's like it, and then the casuals might be saying, well, I can't just like sit there for hours and like learn the fundamentals of a fighting game. But you could say that about like any like beat 'em up game. So like the Mortal Kombat games, right? They're like and fighting games of today. They have like deep fighting mechanics compared to the 16-bit days where you could just like pick it up and play it, and you could learn a character in like a matter of hours or days, and you'd be quite good. But I find that's one of the reasons why I can't really play like modern Mortal Kombats now, because I feel like it takes days or like weeks to really learn a character, and not just the character, but the mechanics that are in the game and how to use them effectively, and I just don't have that time. So I get why casuals are like, well, I don't have that time to, like, I work and whatever, and I go to work and I want to just have fun playing a game. I get it, you know, but maybe have like have like a separate mode, like an arcade mode for that kind of thing, in a more competitive mode, but that is sort of splitting the fan base, I guess, having two systems in place to accommodate both both communities, if you like. I don't know. It's trying to get that balance, but what I'm getting at is there needs to be a vulnerability system. I'd rather have the risk versus reward. I'm happy to get KO'd if I go in carelessly. You know what I mean? If I do something stupid, I deserve to get knocked out for that. You know what I mean? I'd rather have that than have a boxing match where we've both thrown about 900 punches and we're connecting with perfectly timed counters and we're not really getting that payoff. I would rather get knocked out early. You know what I mean? And off something dumb that I've done. You know what I'm saying? If I know I'm just like talking as I'm playing here, so my thoughts aren't like well formulated, but like, I think you know what I'm getting at. Oh, it's a nice combination there. Liver shot right straight and the left hook up top. I mean, but in terms of like why I'm doing this experiment with the video, like you at home watching this now, are you noticing anything different with the camera being zoomed in? Like, I feel like it was a bit of a shitty sort of reasoning that the devs gave at the Roundtable, you know? Oh, that's why you're not seeing the weight of the punches, because you've not got the camera zoomed in all the way. Or you're not seeing the muscles ripple because the camera is too far out. Or like you're not seeing the effect of the inside fighting because once you pull the camera out to a certain distance, it looks different all of a sudden. It just looks the same to me. The only thing that looks different is the camera is just a bit closer, you know? Or the shake on the impact of the punches connecting is a little bit more severe. But that's not adding weight to punches, that's just shaking the camera a bit more. So I disagree with what they're saying. The punches do feel like arm punches in this game. You feel like the gloves are filled with air, and it's like a balloon. That's what it feels like to me. Like when I get it with stuff a lot of the time, I'm not like, oh, I felt that, you know what I mean? With other combat sports games, I do feel that.
Why sit in a pocket when your punches are this slow? Missed him with that uppercut.
Like, I think the problem with this camera is because the movement in this game is like, I really like the movements out the box. That's the only thing that it does really well, if you ask me. that you can move so like fluidly around the ring. Sometimes the camera struggles to keep up with you as you're rotating, and that it makes me feel a little bit nauseous when it's happening. So that's like, it's like one of the reasons I don't play with this camera all that much is as we circle like this, it sort of struggles to keep up at times. And I hope we're going to get more cameras down the line. I hope this camera angles, I hope this is not like the only camera we're going to get, you know? I don't think we are. I think they're just going to add that as the game goes through its development. But like I say, I want to pick whatever camera angle I want and still have the impact of the punches on display and the, you know, the texture on the fighters' physiques, like showcasing how it should be, and that I shouldn't have that diminished depending on what camera angle I choose to use. You know what I mean?
Not over till it's over, but that knockdown is going to be huge. And love the response, though.
See, look at it. I've tried to land like quite a lot of like counters, counters to the body, and it's just not really paying off. Like his stamina's like at like say 50-odd%, but like, oh, nice right straight to the body there. Got like a bit of a flash stun there, right straight to the body, and then the left hook dropped it. Oh, that was a nice finish to that one. I don't know, actually. I think like maybe that right straight to, it was a power right straight to the body there. Might have actually led towards that knockdown. I don't know. Couldn't tell whether the right straight to the body was the like the critical punch there or the left hook that followed it. That was kind of one of the most like realistic stoppages I've ever had. Alright, well let me know what you think anyway about like with the camera being zoomed in. I'm going to keep it like this for a while and sort of play around with it and over the next few videos. But did you notice anything? Was you noticing anything like textures difference or like bear in mind the capability of my graphics card, but was you seeing like any flex happening, or did the punches seem like they had more weight to them? Like, what did you think viewing this, like, you know? Alright, but I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.